Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with us today, she is the founder and CEO of Sofgel. Please welcome Carol Ma. Hello, Carol, and welcome.
Hi, Asia. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today.
Yes, absolutely. You're most welcome. So I want to go ahead and get started by asking where you're originally from and tell us a little about your upbringing.
So I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. My parents are Taiwanese, so I'm Taiwanese. I am of Taiwanese nationality, but I was born and raised here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. That's really, really cool. Now, what's your school experience like in terms of grade school, high school, college, and stuff like that?
So I don't think a lot of people would believe this by looking at me, but I am a nerd. I am a complete bookworm. I was raised in a extremely strict Asian family
Mm-hmm.
that put all the emphasis on academics. So I'm a straight A student, nerd through and
Mm-hmm.
through. I went through the public schooling system in Los Angeles here, and then in high school, when we were getting ready to go for
Mm-hmm.
college and think about that, I always wanted to go to business school. And being the nerd that I was, I expected to go to some Ivy League, Wharton, Harvard Business, that type of
Mm-hmm.
level school.
Right.
And my parents said no. They wanted me to go to art school. They wanted me to learn a trade. They wanted me to learn a specific set of skills that I
Mm-hmm.
could use later on because they believed that everything in business and other things can and should be learned through experience and not just
Mm-hmm.
only in the classroom. And so they gave me two choices, either interior design or fashion design.
Hmm.
I picked fashion at that time because I really love to shop, and I love fashion, and I still do to this day. And so I picked up my first pencil in my junior year of high school, and I started to learn how to draw. And because I set out on that path, I decided that there was no point for me to go through and finish the regular schooling. So I actually took a bunch of extra classes, a bunch of extra credits, and I actually graduated high school a year earlier because I knew that I wasn't going to go to regular school anymore. So what's the point of waking up at 7 a.m. to go to classes in your senior year that you don't need to? So I
Mm-hmm.
graduated a year earlier, got myself into art school. And then eventually I went to Parsons, the New School of Design in New York City, to under fashion design.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I went to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. That's another fashion art school in
Yes,
Vancouver.
there you
So
go. So you're a fellow creative like myself.
yeah, yeah. Like I love, like for me, like I love the arts. Like I was into art like when I was a little kid and stuff like that. Like when I first got into art class, second grade, that was it. I was like, yo, this is what I love is art.
That is still not me. I can draw and I can be creative if you really want me to. Am I the best artist? Absolutely not.
Mm. Yeah, I want to go ahead and really push forward and talk about what were like your earliest memories concerning like nails and beauty.
So I've always really been into beauty and fashion just naturally. It's just been a natural thing. I don't know, maybe it's just how we grew up in the 90s. It was kind of all around us with the magazines and all the celebrities that you saw. Super into it. And actually, personally, for me, I just really loved nails ever since I was a kid. I actually used to save up all my allowance money, and then I would go and get those crystal acrylics done. So back then, way back when, there used to be something besides just acrylic. They would call it like crystal
Right,
UV acrylics. And it
right.
would be at more of those like Japanese style salons. So I was really into nail art. I'm a maximalist. So I love bling and color and art and anything on the nails. And so
Right.
as a high schooler, I would literally get these super long extensions with like the airbrushed flowers on there and the bling and the everything. And that was really my thing. Like people knew me that was my thing. The girl with the super long, crazy nails.
Mm. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I want to definitely get into in terms of role models. So who would you consider to be like your role models growing up?
I think my role models growing up was anybody, not anybody, but people who were inventors and entrepreneurs who really went out to really set the course of the world onto another path. So
Mhm.
Steve Jobs was a huge role model for me. growing
Hmm.
up. Actually, even like Bill Gates, and those type of role models, pioneers in their industries. Those were the people that I really truly looked up to, because as a kid, I wanted to be an inventor. I wanted to invent something. I wanted to invent things that would actually go on to really significantly make an impact on this world. But
Hmm.
growing up, you realize that everything that's significant, that's really is needed in this world, has kind of already been invented, and a lot of things in this world today are kind of reinventions or revamps of something that it's already been thought of. And so, I really, really admired the people who had the guts, and the set of balls to really trailblaze and do something against all odds that everybody else is
Right.
saying, no, 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 that's not going to work. But
Hmm.
something inside you just tells you that this is something that you need to see through.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Now, who what exposure to the nail industry?
Actually, that would be my former business partner. My former business partner, I would have to say, is the one who actually reintroduced me back into the industry and really got the gears going. After I lived in New York for about 8 years, worked there for a couple years after I graduated, and I decided to get married. So I moved back to Los Angeles here to get married, start a family, and start that
Hmm.
chapter of my life. And naturally, coming back, I wanted to get my nails done, and
Hmm.
had asked my husband at that time and his friends for any referrals for any studios around here, just because specifically I really liked that Japanese inspired like nail art style. So I
Hmm.
wanted to find a Japanese nail art salon or studio around me, and that's when I was referred to my business partner, who is a nail technician, and she had her own nail salon. And I tried it out, and she was my nail tech for 2 years. And it
Hmm.
was through our conversations and kind of like musing about what I wanted to do in life and my interests and my passions. And then I started to notice a lot of opportunities within the nail industries and things that I thought, could be useful to the nail
Hmm.
industry that I just have not been seeing. The nail techs that are available for the nail techs to use. And that really got the gears going in my head.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. Now, did you have any experience, own your own nail salon or studio, possibly, or you just never owned a nail salon? Like, what's like your whole experience as far as that?
Absolutely not. I am not a nail technician, and I will never pretend that I'm a nail technician. I am a business person. I am a business person. I'm an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
I work very, very closely with a lot of nail technicians, and I really, truly admire their skill set and their artistry. Because let me just tell you, not anybody can just you can't just pick up anybody off the side of the street, and say, okay, here's a brush, here's some gel, go do nails. It really
Hmm.
truly is an art form
Hmm.
that is honed and crafted through lots and lots of time and experience.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I want to get into as far as soft gel. Now, how did soft gel come about?
Well, that answer is a little bit complicated. It's a little bit complicated because, as people know, that really wasn't my first baby. That wasn't my first foray into
Hmm.
the industry. And I think people know me not for soft gel, but for another brand. Uh, how soft gel really came about, it really was because I saw a need. I saw a need in the market to once again come into this industry and introduce high quality products, and introduce them in a way where the marketing and the education is done in a very truthful and honest way with integrity. I was
Hmm.
seeing way too much, you know, overly marketed or improperly marketed, overly hyped, and a lot of misinformation about professional grade products that are now being repackaged and marketed specifically for what I deem to be not the right target audience. Professional grade products should really remain in the professional sector, and it shouldn't be marketed to regular average end users who may not understand the inherent risks, the natural risks associated with using professional grade products in a home DIY setting. And so it
Hmm.
was. seeing a lot of the proliferation of that misinformation, that I really felt called. I really felt called to do something about this to protect the consumers in this industry from further harm.
Mhm. I want to get into as far as your first baby because you did mention the first brand that you owned, which was Apres Nail. So you're the creator of Apres Nail,
Mhm,
and so you came out back last year or the year before on TikTok talking
mhm,
about that you were fired as CEO from your brand, and you're currently fighting to get ownership of that brand.
mhm.
So for those who are not familiar with that situation of what happened, could you go in depth or explain about what happened and what led to you being let go from that brand?
Okay. So again, very complicated. We are still in the midst of this lawsuit, so there is only certain things that I can say and divulge at this time. But I do hope that once the lawsuit is over and this chapter of my life is closed, I will be able to come out and kind of tell everybody the full story, because my real intention with coming out with this full story is really honestly just to educate people, is honestly to educate anybody, because nail technicians in this industry, they're all entrepreneurs in their own right. Most own their own salons, which makes them a business owner. And I think it is important for people to understand the risks that may surround them in the business world. Not because as a creative, sometimes you get shielded from those things, and you think, okay, so long as I just focus on my craft, everything's going to be fine. But there were a lot of things that I was not aware of, that I didn't know that could happen to you. And I would like to, bring awareness to these situations so people can just better protect themselves in the future. And, I was so young. I was so young when I started Operate. I was 24 years old. And when
Mhm.
you're 24, I mean, being naive is just a part of an entrepreneur's personality. You kind of need to have that naiveness in order to not feel so risk adverse, to be able to take that leap of faith that other people are unable to take.
Mhm.
And at that time, my focus was simply just on making the world know what Gel X is and trying it and seeing what positive benefits could they get from using this product and bringing this product into their salon. Now, I embarked on that journey for about 7, 8 years with Opera. It really started as an idea in my head, literally, that
Mhm.
turned into one product, that turned into three products, that turned into kind of the what you see currently. Now, it really was a Lego building block, one by one, building it from the ground up, nurturing it like my third baby. So there's still things that I'm finding out day to day as we're in this process. And like I said in my TikTok videos, I was completely blindsided. I had no idea, absolutely no idea that this was going to happen. I didn't even know it could happen. I had no
Mhm.
idea that my business partners had it within them to personally even do this to me on
Mhm.
a human level. And so it was, I racked my brain. I racked my brain for months and months afterwards, trying to piece my life back together, trying to figure out what happened, what led to this. And that led me down a series of self discovery, internal reflection, but also a lot of external investigation. I was so focused for 8 years on simply just building the company, building the brand, bringing it, making it a success, that there was a lot of things that I ignored. There's a lot of things internally that I ignored. I thought, okay, I'll get to that later. Don't worry, I still have time later, because I thought that I would be doing Opry forever. I thought I would be a part of that organization, um,
Mhm.
and nurturing my baby for decades to come.
Mhm.
I had no idea the danger that was surrounding me at that time. And, truly what led up to it was the fact that I didn't truly know the people that I was involved with. I was led to believe certain things for a really, really long time. And I think I lived in that little bubble for so long that I believed this picture that they painted of themselves. And when push came to shove, meaning that finally, when the business was a success and we weren't struggling anymore like we were in the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, in the beginning, when the company or a brand is not successful, you really don't argue. There's no arguments because there's nothing to argue over. It actually isn't until when you actually hit success and when there's money actually coming in that people actually start to argue because there's actually stuff to argue over. Now, I had no idea that that was going to happen because that's really just not part of my MO. It's not really something that I think about. Money
Mhm.
for me is never the first priority. And I think that comes out in any of my intentions and any of the things that I do. But ultimately, I think what led to it was probably a major, major disconnect and disagreements in how we wanted to run the business. Yeah, they have a very specific way that they would like to run things, and I have a very specific way of how what I deem to be the right way to run a business,
Mhm.
a brand, and sell products. And while I thought that we could be mature adults and could have worked things out, just like we have been throughout 7 to 8 years of business, I had said this in one of my TikToks, but literally what happened was 7 days prior to the great betrayal, we had an internal meeting in which I opened my mouth and asked for a financial audit. And guess who is the CFO of our company? It
Mm.
my business partner's husband. And magically, 7 days later, after that meeting, they lawyered up. I got fired by email, got kicked out of my own company, got threatened that I would be arrested for trespassing if I came step foot back in the office, etc.,
Mm.
etc.
Wow.
I mean, I
Mm.
don't think I have to say very much after that. I think a lot of people can connect the dots for themselves. I really don't believe that there are coincidences. In life, I do believe that everything happens for a reason. There's a cause to every effect that happens in life. And, if you just look at the evidence and if you just look at everything that's in front of you, it's not very hard to piece together the story.
Mm. I want to get into as far as more into business. So, what advice for people who want to have their own business, nail company and things of that nature? What are some of the critical things you think are very important as far as understanding business, especially how to navigate the cutthroat aspect of business?
First and foremost is have everything on paper. I cannot stress this enough. I really cannot stress
Hmm.
this enough. A verbal commitment, this nicety back and forth that you have with other people, it's all fine and great, and it's all necessary to build a relationship with the other person.
Hmm.
But do not take a person's word just at face value. Mm-mm.
Hmm.
And this goes for everybody, not even just strangers, but even most especially with friends, most especially even with friends, with people that you know. Those are actually the type of people that you need absolutely to have everything ironclad on paper, because I think the closer that you have and the closer personal relationship that you have with another person, the more you tend to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, or that you just think like, oh no, they would never do that to me, oh, they already said this and this to me, I can trust them. But you just don't know what people are going to do when push comes to shove, when there's other extraneous circumstances and other variables that affect their decision making. You have no idea what could happen. And sure, you guys could be in this space right now in this year.
Hmm.
You never know how things are going to change even 6 months or a year or 3 years, 5 years, 8 years down the line. You have no idea because life evolves, life changes, and people grow,
Hmm.
change with it. And so that would be my biggest source of advice, is that no matter how small or big the business is, have
Right.
everything on paper. Have lawyers come in, review everything. They might be expensive. It might seem like this a frivolous expense in the beginning that you can't really afford, but I can guarantee you, you are going to be so glad that you crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. Um,
Hmm.
when the going gets tough.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I want to get into as far as back to soft gel. So you sell base coats and non-wipe type coats. You also have a gel X system with soft gel. So I want to go ahead and really talk about as far as like any products down the line. Do you plan on doing like nail polish colors down the line or potted gels? Like, what's like the future plan as far as like soft gel?
So there's a reason why I named the brand Soft Gel. It is because I love soft gel. Personally, for myself, I am not really a hard gel lover. It's just not really a thing that I choose to use. And I
Hmm.
love soft gel formulas. I love the benefits that they can provide to the average person, and I also love the flexibility that it has to be able to be soaked off, and it's not something so permanent on my nails that I
Right.
in if I'm stuck in a pickle that I wouldn't be able to take it off at home. That's kind of like my biggest gripe with hard gel. So I love soft gel formulas, and it's all in the name. We are
Yeah.
not only just going to be a Gel X brand, we have a complete slate of soft gel products ready to launch for 2024. The Gel X tip system is just the beginning, the tip of this iceberg, and we have a lot of new innovative soft gel products that we're going to be introducing to the market in 2024.
Yeah, that's great. That's absolutely cool. I want to get into as far as just about marketing. So, for people who want to start their own business, what are some tips you could provide as far as marketing?
Yes, marketing 101. It's just getting attention. At this point in society's evolution of using social media, all these different platforms, we're literally already living in the metaverse. If you think about it, everybody wakes up in real physical world every day,
Right.
and what's kind of the first thing that they do when they wake up nowadays?
Yeah,
You
get on
open
social
up
media.
your phone. You open up your phone and you go through your regular apps that
Mm,
you normally log onto, and that's your community. That's your community of people, depending on what type of platform that you frequent. And is that
mhm.
not like jumping into the metaverse? When you
Right.
are on your phone, you're plugged in into these apps, you're literally in another universe. And don't you feel a little bit different, like at the end of the day, once you're like logged off? You're logged off, you're winding down at the end of the day, and you consciously have to put away your phone. You consciously have to lock your phone, put it
Right.
away, you're done for
Mhm.
the day, and then you're back
Right.
into the real world. And so if you think about that, if you're living in the metaverse already, if you're living in that universe, in the real world, how do you consume information? How do you get influence in the real world? You might hop into your car and listen to a radio ad,
Mhm.
or on a podcast. You might be driving down the street and you'll see billboards there. At You come home, turn on the TV, there's television ads. Then on your kitchen table, there are physical advertisements that are sent to you. So if while we're living in this digital metaverse, what you need to do is actually you need to take what's in your physical original world and think, how
Mhm.
can I replicate all of these different ways of getting attention,
Right.
but just done in a digital way? So it differs whether or not you're on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook. There's different tools for different platforms, and you need
Right.
to understand how consumers and people on those platforms behave. What are their natural behaviors when they wake up in the morning and they look at their phone? What do they normally do? And through understanding what the consumer does, you can actually reverse engineer and
Mhm.
cherry pick out uh, positions along that daily journey that they have. And then, if you know your target audience, if you know what you're trying to do, then you put yourself in those right areas. So then they can see that billboard as they're driving down the street. They can hear that radio ad as they're driving to work or getting lunch, XYZ, things like that. And really, that's what marketing is all about, getting your product or yourself in front of the right target audience.
Right, absolutely, most definitely. And I like how you word it as like the metaverse because, it's definitely like a digital world that you're in, like, with Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and things of that nature. And
Mhm.
it's so crazy because, like, the metaverse, like, you look at different platforms like the Central Land and Sandbox, these are like, 3D, gaming worlds, IMVU, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? That,
Mhm.
you can do
Mhm.
like your own like marketplaces, you can go into different worlds and things like that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, social media is definitely a different world. And the thing is also too, like AI is getting bigger. So what's your take as far as AI?
Well, I just don't think that AI is something to be demonized. I think if we were to think back to, the 1800s, when before the big factories, before all of this mass production of
Hmm.
things, I'm pretty sure that the people back in the 1800s, when they saw all of these industrial, like engineers, designing and creating machines that would literally pump out products, thousands and thousands of products instead of relying on artisan like
Hmm.
craftsmen to pump out those products. I'm pretty sure those people saw those factories and those machines as big bad AI, just like how we are viewing AI now in our world today. But look at all the advancements. Look at all the advancements that have come to human civilization
Right.
since those times because of this advancement, because we have embraced. Now, what happened? People are still working today. There's still jobs today. Just because those factories and those machines were created doesn't mean that right now we live in a world where everybody's out those jobs because those
Yeah.
machines existed. No, we evolved. There still needs to
Hmm.
be people to run those machines. There still needs to be people to program and engineer those things. And that's really how I see AI. I think AI is a threat to our the current way that we live life right now. No doubt, anything that's evolutionary or innovative could serve as something that is a risk to the current structure. But
Right.
that just means that the current structure needs to grow and needs to evolve with it. And
Hmm.
I really do believe that everybody should make friends with their worst enemies. That is the ultimate best way to go about combating anything that may be perceived as negative in life. Understand them. Understand why they're doing the things they're doing. Understand what benefits could you also garner from this relationship as well. Learn how to turn lemons into lemonade. Make the best of the situation. How can AI eventually benefit this world and actually benefit the industry that
Right.
we're in to bring these advancements that ultimately, regardless of how much you push back against it, it's going to happen. This evolution is going to happen. This is what humans do. We evolve, we advance. And if we can steer it along the right path, I think that that ultimately will be the best for humankind instead of demonizing it and letting it kind of just go and devolve down the road that it's going to go down. It's better to make friends with it and go hand in hand and try to steer it along the right way.
I want to go ahead and shift gears and talk about nail products. So what has been some of your favorite nail products for like nails and nail art?
Specifically for nail art, or well, I mean, I think Gel X is actually Gel X is my answer. Gel X is my favorite innovation, I think, that has come out. If you want to talk about how much it has impacted nail art, because GelX is a product that allows you to very quickly do a lot of foundational work that normally would take a lot of extra time and effort to do that foundational work. Now, with an ease and time saving method of doing that foundational work, it actually opens up your time to do a lot of the work afterwards. So
Right.
you have a lot more time to do embellishments, enhancements, nail art, that type of thing. And I love all of the different innovations that are coming out. New things pop up every single month that come out. Whether it's the inks, it's the chromes, it's the different type of glitters, the more advanced now type of glitters that are just honestly the effects are mind blowing to
Hmm.
what it was 40 years ago when the nail industry really really got its start in being kind of like a commonplace thing for the average American citizen. And so I love glitters, I love bling, and I love anything that has to do that. So I'm all about the nail art. Love, love, love.
That's really really cool. What's your favorite nail shape?
My favorite nail shape is actually coffin long. I am a traditionalist in a lot of senses, and to me, coffin long is just you. It's the perfect kind of base for lots and lots of nail art, lots of surface area, to do a lot of fun magic on your nails. One of my current favorites right now for specialty shapes is actually the lipstick. The lipstick shape for specialty shape is actually my current favorite.
Hmm.
It's a little bit funky. It's a little bit funky, but
Right.
it's not like too funky. And it's just, I don't know, it gives you kind of that like, that like edge um,
Hmm.
that I think we need. We need some fun in our lives in
Right.
2024.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is with that lipstick nail shape, who the rapper that has that shape on the most is Megan Thee Stallion. Because I see like she'll have the manga and the lipstick shaped nails, and yeah, that's a fun
Ah,
shape.
Okay, then we're gonna have to get Megan on board, and we're gonna have to do a lipstick shaped collab together.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool. I want to get into as far as more about the nail industry. So, what are some things you like about the nail industry, but also what are some things you think the nail industry could be improved on?
What I love about the nail industry is actually the people. It's the people that are in this industry.
Hmm.
Nail artists. I think they are their own separate. They're beasts in their own right. I mean, people who can do fine nail art on literally like a tiny little canvas like this. I mean, people do do not realize how much work and how much expert craftsmanship really goes into doing nails really really well. And I have a passion in helping the people that make up this industry, because without the people there's no industry. Without any people in any industry, there's no that industry. So the people are who you want to support. And the people that I've come across in the nail industry have been some of the most hardworking, the most passionate, and some of the most creative people that I've come across in my life. And they are honestly the soul and the blood of this industry. And I have this
Hmm.
passion to help elevate the entire nail industry as a whole, because compared to the hair industry, the makeup, the skincare industry, on don't even talk about like runway shows in professional commercial work.
Hmm.
Those are the people that get all of the accolades, that get all of the awards, all of the everything. Well, nails is kind of more of an afterthought. And I actually do believe that in the last 8 years of me being in the nail industry, that my first brand has actually helped already elevate
Hmm.
the level of nail artistry and how people see nails and what people think of nails.
Hmm.
I think that it has already evolved and already grown, but I think that there still is so much more to go.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. Now, what are some things you think in the nail industry, like certain things that could be improved on in your perspective?
I think I honestly think product quality and integrity. Yeah,
Hmm.
that is one of the things that I see that is kind of like the most rampant issue that I see within the nail industry, is that due to the low barrier to entry in this industry, we're not building rocket ships. We're not building, an iPhone. We're not building something that really truly takes years if not decades of very very specific engineering or certain things to create. um,
Hmm.
with that being said, it makes it so it makes it very easy for a lot of different players to jump into this space. Now, whether or not they do it with integrity and they're actually putting out good products that do what they say, and
Hmm.
also don't do what they don't say. I think that's one of the
Hmm.
biggest issues. Is there's a lot of brands within this space that push out inferior products that in where they're just chasing the dollar. They're just chasing the dollar. They're chasing the profit, and they're not really caring about the effects that their products or their marketing is having on a specific industry or their customers. in the end. And so that's actually one of the huge passion of mine, is to introduce some more accountability and responsibility to the nail industry, um,
Hmm.
and lead the way through high quality product standards and
Hmm.
marketing integrity.
Hmm. Absolutely. How have you been able to balance being a businesswoman with mental health?
There's it's not really a day-to-day balance. I would have to say, I think it's a whole 360. Some days you're at 20%, some days you're at 80%, another day you're at 30, another day you're at 60. It's all over the place. To expect that you're going to be able to balance it 50-50 all the time, that is unreasonable. I think that's unreasonable. And I think a lot of people chase
Right.
that and think that, if I'm not perfectly at this 50-50, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be. I'm not on the right path. But, you have to be a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs to be a business owner and entrepreneur in any sense, because entrepreneurs are the ones who take the risks. They
Right.
don't know for a shadow of a doubt whether or not they're going to be successful ultimately in the long run. They have no idea really what's in store. They may dream and hope of what's to come, but
Hmm.
without you traveling into the future, you can never know exactly what's to come. But it's
Right.
those people who do end up taking that risk and saying, okay, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to trust myself and trust my intuition and see where it takes
Hmm.
me. That is kind of insanity in its own definition. Because most people, you have to have some sort of like security in order
Hmm.
to get them to say yes and to do something. But it's those who kind of just throw all caution to the wind and say, hey, let's go, let's do it. And it's also
Hmm.
people who do it and then fall flat on their face and then get right back up and say, you know what? I'm not going to let that hold me down. I'm not going to let that make me sit down forever and not try anything. I'm going to try again. I'm going to take the lessons that I learned the first time and figure out how to do it better the second time to get
Right.
to success. That
Absolutely.
then requires another set of insanity that you really have to embrace.
Right.
And that really truly is that your mental health can kind of take a back seat for a little bit in the beginning, when you're really building something. And then once you get to a certain point where things are a little bit more stable, you're kind of at the place that you're at, then at that time you might have some space to work on certain things. So that's why I say sometimes you're at 20%, sometimes you're at 80, but you hold that space
Hmm.
and you know that this 20%, you're not going to be here forever, but you're sacrificing something. You're sacrificing a little bit for a big payoff, a big reward, in the future. And so
Hmm.
long as you can stay positive, I think if you can have an extremely positive and optimistic mindset throughout the whole process, that will keep the whole mental health crashing down at bay. Just that positive thinking alone will
Right.
help you keep your head above water when you feel like you're drowning under all of the pressure and stress.
Mm. Now, as far as the nail community, like who are like some of your favorite nail artists?
I actually don't really have any favorites.
Okay.
There's so much talent. There is so much talent, and I have come across thousands and thousands and thousands of nail artists in my time. It's difficult to pick one. It's very very difficult.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally understandable. If you had to offer one valuable piece of advice for up and coming nail artists, what would it be?
Charge your worth.
Hmm.
I would say charge your worth. I would say charge your worth. I would say first off is learn your craft. Learn your craft and perfect your craft. I think, and then charge your worth. I think too many times people nowadays, they see social media videos and they say, here's a hack for this, here's a hack for this. Oh, look, this 7-second video, it's so easy. And then people, they think that, okay, I'm just going to buy this thing, I'm going to practice it 5 times, and then I'm a nail artist. Let's go. Let's start charging. And then when you're at that level, you don't have confidence in yourself because you haven't practiced and you're not at that level, and thus you won't want to charge at that level because you have that insecurity that you're not worth it at that level. So my biggest advice, because I see this all the time in the nail industry, is as people jump in way too fast. They jump in way too fast before they truly have had time to even let the product mature, to let them as a nail technician jumping into that new space or that new category, or bringing on that new product. They haven't really let that mature and really allowed enough experiences in their life to be able to, for them to troubleshoot as a nail technician, how best should I bring in this new service or this new product into my business so my customers can have the best reaction and response to it. And I think that if everybody really put in the work and really, sacrifice a little bit in the beginning to really perfect that craft and then
Right.
roll it out later on, then they can step forward with their best foot forward. And then
Mm.
at that time, they can feel confident to really charge their worth. And that is honestly the way to boost and elevate this entire industry, is to get everybody up to this level instead of always forever starting here and then having this reputation of the nail industry of like, oh, just those like ladies in those salons, in those strip mall salons, charging $18 for a pink and white.
Mm. Last but not least, where can people find Soft Gel on social media? How can people buy Soft Gel products?
So we're on Instagram and TikTok, on Facebook at Sofgel Nail, and then our website is softgel.com.
Well, thank you so much, Carol, for joining the show. I love what you're doing as far as the nail industry. I really appreciate and enjoy our conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective and your story as well. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Asia.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.
Bye bye.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye bye.